Hello, Matthew Potts here. I'm at Extra English. Last week, we took a group of 9 to 11-year-olds on a virtual road trip from Chicago all the way to Los Angeles. We followed historic Route 66, driving in a van set up in this classroom. We took turns driving, we listened to great music, and we learned a lot about the United States, using English, having fun, and pretending to be on a great adventure. We carefully mapped out the journey from beginning to end. We built wooden rafts to float the mighty Mississippi, rocket ships to soar above NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We made giant saguaros to keep watch over the desert. We created our own personalized Hollywood stars to be remembered, and each camper received an Oscar with their name on it in a Hollywood-style award ceremony on the last day. We feasted in American fashion, and I mean we ate food typical of the city or region we were visiting on each given day. We had pizza, fried chicken, fast food, Mexican, and Chinese. And what really brought our immersion experiment to life were the conversations we had along Route 66. Each day, our campers had the opportunity to learn about these places directly from people living there. In Chicago, we started by mapping out the journey from start to finish. We learned about deep dish pizza, Willis Tower, formerly the Sears Tower, once the tallest skyscraper in the world. We learned about Millennium Park, the Chicago Bulls dynasty of the 1990s, the Super Bowl Shuffle, and the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. We spoke to Bridget Garrity live from her apartment on the north side of Chicago. She told us about L trains, the Chicago River, which had its flow reversed, and Lou Mitchell's Diner, the unofficial beginning of Route 66. From there, we went south-southwest through Illinois, admiring the corn. On Tuesday, we continued mapping, paying careful attention to the Mississippi River, and then we learned about Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, followed by raft building. Mr. Jason Becker created a short video introducing us to the Chain of Rocks Bridge, which used to carry Route 66 travelers across the Mississippi River before it was closed to automobile traffic. Here are the highlights.
And I'm standing next to the mighty Mississippi River and the Chain of Rocks Bridge, which you can see over my shoulder there. Here at this spot, it's about a mile wide, which for you guys, I guess, is a little more than 1.6 kilometers wide. It's a lot of water, the equivalent of about 5 Olympic-sized swimming pools rushes by this spot every second. All right, guys, here we are at the very beginning of the Chain of Rocks Bridge. You can see the sign over my shoulder for Illinois Route 66, so it's official. We're here on the path that you guys are traveling, which is pretty exciting. I'm pretty jealous you guys get to go on this journey. Originally, Route 66 used to go right through the city of St. Louis, but when they built this bridge about 10 years later, they rerouted the highway just so motorists could come see this beautiful area.
In the afternoon, we connected live to Mr. Becker's first hour mythology lesson. Our students shared 3 classic Polish legends, of course in English, about the founding of Poland, the Dragon of Wawel, and the tragic tale of the 2 brothers building St. Maria's Towers in Krakow.
Once upon a time, there were 3 brothers, Lech, Czech, and Ros. They were looking for the place to live. Lech found a place with 1 tree. The tree has a nest with white eagle that flies around. He built his home and named his place Gniezno,
Which means
nest. Now the symbol of Poland is white eagle with a crown.
So he decided that who will kill the dragon will get a reward of wedding with his daughter.
He killed his own brother and committed suicide by jumping off the...
Dark.
And now in Kraków, in Sukiennice, you can find his knife on the city.
Afterwards, our campers had the chance to ask questions directly to the students about their daily lives, their school, and their city.
After high school, what's your plan?
Do you like your school?
So, what's the weather like now in St. Louis?
How often do you eat fast food?
Not typically, because my mom cooks like pretty much like every day.
You want to stay in St. Louis forever?
No.
On Wednesday, we learned about Oklahoma and the great state of Texas. We discovered the Big Texan Steakhouse in Amarillo, where a person can eat a 2-kilo steak for free if they can finish it in less than 60 minutes by themselves. We also read a bit about NASA and let the campers build rockets out of paper and cardboard. We took a look at the story of the Dust Bowl in the 1930s, a region including Texas and Oklahoma in which the farming methods of the time caused an ecological and economic disaster. We had 2 video conferences. The first was with Dr. Kellyanne Newman, a professor at Oklahoma State University. She told us a lot about modern-day Oklahoma. Here are some of the highlights.
My favorite food from Oklahoma is actually steak, and they have their very own cut of steak that they have trademarked here at Oklahoma State University, and it is the best steak that I've ever eaten in my whole life.
So I have one more question. What's the weather like now in Oklahoma?
It is hot.
Do people in Oklahoma care for their health? Do they want to have a healthy life?
I heard you that time. Thank you. I would say yes and no. I would say yes and no. Some people do, but some people don't. And I think that's common everywhere.
Shano Smith, a physician's assistant near Houston, Texas, was kind enough to take about 25 minutes out of his morning to meet with us and tell us some things about the Lone Star State. He told us the meaning of the word Texas, friend, the 6 different flags of Texas, and the Space Center in Houston, where they have moon rocks. On Thursday, we began with Enchanted, New Mexico, driving around in the high desert near Albuquerque, and continuing on in the van to Arizona. My wife, Natalia, and I were able to share pictures and tell stories about our adventure in the desert outside Phoenix about 12 years ago. We talked at length about these ancient petroglyphs and their significance. We learned about giant saguaros and made our own out of cardboard. We compared the sizes, populations, and topography of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Poland. And near the end of our day, Analia and Jesse Hart rallied their family around the laptop at 7 a.m. their time to teach us about the beautiful state of New Mexico, which they've called home for the past 9 years. She had a rich collection of her own photos to share. We learned about the high desert region, the incredible array of dishes which include chilies. They eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. They even put it in their beer. Did you know the largest international hot air balloon festival takes place in Albuquerque? I did not. And apparently, the Albuquerque area has been inhabited continuously for the last 10,000 years.
This is the Route 66 diner in Albuquerque downtown.
This is what we're talking about. What can you eat in the Route 66 diner?
I don't know. Do you remember what you had? Burgers, fries, and steaks.
It's a diner.
Yes.
And will they ask you red or green in this diner?
I think so. Yes. They'll ask you if you, especially with burgers, they'll ask if you want green chili.
On our final day, we entered California on our way to Santa Monica and the end of Route 66. We learned about the gold rush of 1849 and discussed the American dream. This idea that with a little luck and a lot of hard work, anyone can become rich and successful. After contemplating their own pursuits of fame and fortune, the campers made their own Hollywood star. We put some finishing touches on our maps, adding the cities and attractions that each student found most interesting. We watched the original Muppet movie, in which Kermit the Frog leaves his swamp and embarks on a road trip to Hollywood, the place where dreams come true. And as soon as we finished the film, we were able to connect with Cody Osborne live in a park in West Hollywood. Hollywood.
Pressure's on.
Uh-huh. Yeah. California. For some, LA is paradise, and Cody happens to be one of those people who found what he was looking for. Finally, it was time to get dressed up and hand out the awards. Thank you, Bridget, for your time. Thank you, Jason, for the video that you made about Chain of Rocks. That was awesome. Thank you, Dr. Kellyanne Newman, for meeting with us and for talking to us and caring so much about the kids that you were speaking to. They could feel that and they enjoyed that time. Thank you, Shane, for taking a little bit of time out of your morning. Thank you to the Hart family. Felt like we were in your living room. It felt like you were at Extra with us. And I would also like to thank Cody for making a special trip out of the house to show us a little bit of Hollywood. I also need to mention that a camp like this would not have worked if we didn't have such an exceptional group of kids. The children were kind, they were focused, and they were motivated. I can't take credit for really any of that. All we could do is put something in front of them to make them interested. I would like to thank each of them and also their parents for doing such a great job of raising them. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.